Welcome to Chapter 12, Part 2. Let's move forward with mescaline. Mescaline is the most active drug in the peyote cactus, and the peyote cactus is a small, round, spineless cactus, and the dried tops, also called buttons, are what you consume when you're trying to receive the hallucinogenic effects of mescaline. And the dried tops, you can eat them, brew them, or create a powder from them. The most prominent hallucinogenic effects of mescaline are the intense perception of colors and euphoria. Throughout time, many books, songs, movies had made reference to the mescaline or peyote experience. Specifically in the 60s, the use of mescaline or peyote was much higher than it is today. And books like The Teachings of Don Juan by anthropologist Carlos Castaneda, and also Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley were prominent publications that probably served to increase the consumption of mescaline. Today, federal law prohibits the use of mescaline except for within the Native American church, where they have used mescaline as part of their religious sacrament for decades. Next, let's look at psilocybin, also known as mushrooms, magic mushrooms, or shrooms. And these are found in tropical and subtropical regions of South America, Mexico, and the United States. In the past, psilocybin was ingested during religious ceremonies by indigenous peoples from Mexico and Central America, and they are not very common substances that are found on the streets these days, but you can still get your hands on them. And this is particularly dangerous if you're trying to find these mushrooms on your own in nature, because there are many species of mushrooms that are toxic and poisonous. Psilocybin can be either dried or fresh, or eaten raw, mixed with food, or brewed into a tea. And the effects of psilocybin are similar to those of LSD. And in consuming psilocybin, LSD, or mescaline, each substance can produce cross-tolerance to each other. Next, let's look at anticholinergic substances. These are naturally occurring substances found in plants and herbs, mostly of the potato family. And the three main ingredients are scopolamine, hyoscyamine, and atropine. Some of the plants include Atropa belladonna, also known as the deadly nightshade, and also the mandrake. These two substances have been known throughout time to be used in love potions, and it's interesting that most hallucinogenic substances in general will dilate the pupils, and at one time in history, women having dilated pupils was perceived as attractiveness, openness, kindness. Now if we see that your pupils are dilated, we're just assuming that you're on drugs. The mandrake has also been referenced in the movie Pan's Labyrinth and also in Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. Henbane was used in ancient orgies. Jimson weed grows wild in the United States, and sometimes young people trying to get their hands on a hallucinogen to experiment have found and used Jimson weed and really got more than they bargained for and wound up in the emergency room, because Jimson weed can create an intense, negative, maybe nightmarish, bad experience. Next, let's talk about dissociative drugs. What are dissociative drugs? These are substances that can produce visual and auditory distortions and a sense of floating or dissociation. Users report feeling detached from reality and themselves. Substances included in this category are PCP, ketamine, and DXM. First, let's talk about PCP. So PCP is kind of one of those old school drugs that was much more prevalent in the 60s and the 70s. We don't see too much of it anymore. I don't test for it at my agency any longer, but every once in a while we get a client that reports PCP as their primary drug of choice. PCP is also known as embalming fluid, and oftentimes it's sprinkled on marijuana or tobacco, and these are referred to as sherm sticks or dippers, and was originally developed in the 1950s as a general anesthetic. It's a Schedule II narcotic and available only as an anesthetic for animals, but since 1985 has even been banned from that setting because of its high theft rate. And you'll find this with ketamine as well, that largely it's diverted from the vet setting because of theft. PCP is considered to be a very dangerous drug. Its effects are very unpredictable and individual. At low doses, it's similar to alcohol intoxication, but at high doses, the side effects are really serious and disturbing. People often report to feel godlike, powerful, having superhuman strength. Users cannot accurately interpret the environment or their own emotions, and as a result appear to do crazy things, running into moving cars, assaulting others, running around without any clothes on. So very, strange, unpredictable behavior happens with PCP. Next is ketamine, also called Special K. This one again is dissociative and is used as a general anesthetic, both in veterinary medicine and human medical practice. You'll sometimes see this used in pediatric medicine, for example, maybe in the emergency department where a youngster is getting a bone reset, because not only is it an anesthetic, but it also induces amnesia. So perhaps the youngster will not feel the traumatic medical procedure and not remember it. So again, ketamine is also one of those substances that much of the supply has been diverted from the veterinary setting through theft. And although it's manufactured as a liquid, it's also evaporated into a powder form and snorted or put into pills. This one's also been associated with date rape because it's odorless and tasteless. Users of ketamine have reported feeling disassociated from self and reality, sometimes near-death experiences. This is called going into the K-hole. Next is DXM. This one is found in over-the-counter cough medicines, so it's a cough suppressant and expectorant, and used as directed, it's fine, but this one is often abused by especially young people because it's easy to get your hands on. And this one is also used in combination with alcohol to create drinks like scissor or lean. And this one is commonly abused by young people, as well as our next substance, salvia. This one is a hallucinogenic herb, and this one is legal in some states and not others. In California, it's legal for adults, but illegal to provide to minors, but legal for minors to possess. And salvia is not a scheduled substance. And this concludes Chapter 12, Part 2. Thank you for your attention.